All right. I'm good to go.
Do you say begin?
Yes.
Good morning and welcome to episode 9. 0 2 of Down to Dunk. You can find us on The Athletic and anywhere else you subscribe to your podcast. I am Luke. Joined this morning by Andrew.
Slam through.
Taylor.
Hey, good morning, boys. Hey, if a child refuses to sleep during nap time, are they guilty of resisting arrest? We are young. Heartache to heartache we stand. No promises, no demand. Hey, we're back in business. What's up, boys? It takes guts to be an organ donor. Slam through.
And Jay.
It's Jay. Taylor, last week I tried to bring a couple dad jokes and I just didn't feel like it was authentic enough.
I felt like you said you were going to and then you didn't.
I didn't try. It was one of those things where you get up to the edge of the diving board and it's just too high. And that's how I felt the entire intro last week.
That's what a dad joke is getting up to the diving board and you're like, I don't think this is going to work. So you turn around and then you slip and then you just fall off the diving board.
That is so real, man. That is so real. Hey, you can find us on The Athletic, anywhere else you subscribe to your podcast. But also what we want to tell you right now is if you go to theathletic.com/down to dunk right now, you can get The Athletic for $1 a month. $1. How many dollars is that over the course of a year? 12? 12.
One.
Well, no, one per month for 12 months.
Oh.
But you have to go to theathletic.com/down to dunk. Here's what I'm going to tell you is if you want content for anything, any sport, any specific sports team, nobody is doing it better than The Athletic. So check them out. For right now, you can jump on theathletic.com/down to dunk and get all of that incredible content for $1 a month. Do it today. It's also an easy way to support us right now because every time that they see that you sign up with that link, Andrew gets a pat on the back. And so it's something for you to do right now. Do it this morning. Do it this afternoon. Whenever you listen to this, jump on your phone, on your iPad, on your laptop. Check it out. Down to dunk, /down to dunk at theathletic.com. Guys.
Facts.
Like FAX.
Yeah, you can fax in and get The Athletic via fax, I'm sure.
You need to be careful there. Okay, last night, the Denver Nuggets lost to the LA Lakers. So both the Western Conference Finals and the Eastern Conference Finals are at 3-1. Guys.
Oh, the Lakers have made such a mistake.
I know.
The Nuggets have gotten them right where they want them. They've just unlocked the underdog Nuggets. It's going to be bad.
You know what's funny is like both of these series may end in a gentleman's sweep.
Mm-hmm.
Yet they've both been incredible series. Like the Boston, I think Zach Lowe's the one that posted this yesterday, but Zach Lowe mentioned that for the Heat Boston series, that even though it's 3-1, the score I think is tied at like 441 to 441. They have the exact same amount of points through the entire series so far. And the Lakers, Denver's been in all of them to the end of the game. I mean, lost the one with Anthony Davis's final shot in game 2, won game 3, obviously, which got closer than it should have. And then last night watching game 4, like, I don't know if you all watched it or not, but when LeBron switched on to Jamal Murray, like it was a pretty significant game changer.
Wow.
And then Jokic was in foul trouble. Like it was just kind of an odd game for the Nuggets, but the Nuggets were in it all the way until the last, 20 seconds. It's been a great series. Andrew, what do you think about the series so far?
Yeah, I mean, the Nuggets really just lost on rebounds yesterday. I mean, the Lakers, if you watch the end of that game, the the Lakers had these back-breaking offensive rebound tips that just it broke the Nuggets there at the end, because they had a chance and they were fighting and they were trying to get shots off, and LeBron fouled Jamal Murray probably twice as Jamal
no call
and no call, which was kind of frustrating because I mean and this happens all the time where a guy takes like a long range three or a step back three that doesn't go in. Everybody's like, well, why don't you go into the basket, get fouled, go to the free throw line? And like Jamal's doing that because, I mean, honestly, he was doing it because the Lakers were denying his 3-point shots last night. He only had 3. He was 0-3 last night from 3. So, I mean, credit to the Lakers, but he gets going to the basket and gets knocked down and no call. And so to me, that was a little bit frustrating because I think if he gets those 2 calls and then maybe if Denver, I mean, there are 2 calls and like an offensive rebound away from winning that game.
That's the thing about this series is we joke about the Nuggets being able to come back down 3-1, but all of these games, like you were saying, Jay, were really close. I mean, this could just as easily be 3-1 the other way.
right.
Nuggets up. I mean, there's 2 games that were really easy for the Nuggets to pull out, and they just didn't.
Yeah, just don't put Mason Plumlee on the floor.
Yeah, is Mason Plumlee, and then the Lakers put Dwight Howard in starting, and with Anthony Davis and LeBron, and he gets 6 offensive rebounds.
Yeah, it was a great. Vogel's doing a really good job with this Lakers team. Like, I think it's one of the things that I truly never realized with Tyronn Lue that I realized with Vogel is with Ty Lue. It always felt like with those Cavs teams, it was just like we just play basketball. Right? Like it didn't feel like there was as much strategic moves made as much as it feels like Vogel's doing. And so, but he's done a good job. And probably because even though those Cavs teams weren't great, they had less holes than this Lakers team. But Anthony Davis has been incredible. LeBron is LeBron. Like I think he's 75 years old and out there playing like, it's his 3rd year in the season. And so it's just incredible to watch him play. But I know that we joke about the 3-1, but I do think that the Nuggets, man, I'd be really shocked if they don't win game 5.
Oh, this thing ain't over, man. Their backs have been against the wall. If anything, they need to be down like this, like Luke was saying, because they have to unlock their underdog Nuggets. And when your under Nuggets are released, oh man, the world is a different place.
So let me ask this question to you, Tayshaun. When you think of the Boston-Miami series, Game 5 is tonight. What's your prediction?
Oh, I think I'll go Heat just because they've been able to. These games are super close, and the Heat, the one game that they lost, they missed so many uncontested jumpers. That one game was definitely like the Heat just not hitting shots. And so I think in this one, the Heat will win just because I think they're tougher than Boston. Boston has not been able to get it together in the 3rd and 4th quarter when they need to.
Yeah, and I think that tougher thing, I think, is an absolute important piece of this because these games are always close, and it's who gets the rebound, who makes the defensive play.
Who cuts on a freaking Jimmy Butler post up at the perfect time that's just back-breaking. That Tyler Hero cut.
Yeah,
that
it's always the Heat. Tyler Hero is incredible, man. I think Alex said that on the pod a few weeks ago where it was like, give us a little bit of, not that we need, it's no surprise that Hero is good, but it is a little bit surprising that it was this good. And the fact that we targeted him in every fake trade last year kind of feels like, hey, we know what we're talking about slightly. So here's a fun question. Would Tyler Hero be the number 1 pick in the draft this year?
In this draft?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Who'd you rather have, Tyler Hero or Anthony Edwards?
Tyler Hero for sure. The questions are LaMelo. Like, LaMelo could be a legit star.
Yeah.
I still don't know if, like, what Hero is for sure. As far as, like, is he going to be an all-star? I don't know. He's a really good player. He can do it all. He's not just a shooter. He can put the ball on the floor and score off the dribble. He can rebound. He can pass. He can do it all. But I still very much question a lot of these guys inside the bubble because they're shooting on the same rims every night, not in front of a crowd. It's the same. The routine is the same. They wake up, they're in the same place every day. They go to the same gym on the same bus with the same bus driver every single day. And I think that favors some people, and I feel like it's favoring young guys to a large degree.
Yeah.
Even Jamal Murray. Like, is Jamal Murray the 5th best player in the NBA now? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how this is affecting. I know that NBA executives are also looking at this and saying, okay, this isn't real. Like, this is not real. And so I don't know what to take from this that will carry over into when the NBA is back again in front of 18,000 fans. You know, in 2 years or however long it takes to get all the fans back in. Is Hero this guy? Is Jamal Murray this guy? I don't know the answers to that. I think that that's something that needs to be accounted for at least a little bit with all of these players, because I think that there could be like this, maybe even a strange like overvaluing of some guys just because they're really good in this setting. And what makes superstars stand out is that they are this in every setting.
Right.
So I just wonder. And they may be stars. I don't know, but I just wonder.
And I think that for me with Hero is we saw it throughout the season that he was really good. But he wasn't leading scorer for the entire playoff game.
Yeah.
5 or 4.
He leads them in assists.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
so I think that the bubble absolutely helps younger guys perform better. Just the lack of, I mean, I said this when we were talking about the Milwaukee series. Like, it's a whole different ball game if you start game 1 in Milwaukee. Now, I'm not saying that the Heat wouldn't win, but I don't think you would see the same production from some of the guys that ended up carrying this team.
The pressure,
yeah, the pressure is just tremendously different. And then on top of that is the energy for the Bucks would have been different. That's why, I think the hard part, and Taylor, I mean, you can jump in on this in response, but I think the hard part for me is I would always be cautious of tearing down teams based on the showing in the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that fair?
Unless you're the Clippers or Rockets, I agree.
Right, but yeah, right. It is funny. Like the Clippers shouldn't be impacted at all by this, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they will. They'll just
They don't have fans.
Shouldn't have been, but I think they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and but the only way you would say that is if okay, well, the Jamal Murray bump is one of the reasons, whatever. But it's so funny though. The Nuggets had literally the hardest journey to get to the playoffs, in the sense of those 8 playing games where they were playing bowl and
yeah,
Kidding.
playing
it was
5
just
centers.
Yeah, it was just one of those things. They weren't even ready to play until they got into game 5 against the Jazz. But
I need to stick up for Jamal Murray. Huh?
They still don't have Will Barton.
No, it's true.
did he just not even come to the bubble? I guess.
I think he's there, but he's hurt still.
They'll need him. They'll use him in the finals.
Right.
I want to stick up for Jamal Murray a little bit though, because it's not like this is the first time we've seen Jamal Murray be able to score like this and go off like this. He's had big games before. He's had plenty of big games.
But now,
the hard part though is they faded out with such a whimper against the Trailblazers last year in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be, what is this, Jamal Murray's 3rd or 4th year?
5th?
No, he's in his 2nd contract.
He is already?
Yeah, he's already a max player.
Well, then this is
his
to me, then that's not young. This is maturity. This is consistent play that comes with when you're just an older guy in the league now.
But Taylor, he hasn't sniffed an All-Star game.
Yeah, but he's had, I mean, this could be when his coming out party, though, if it's his 5th year.
Yeah.
Because he's had big games before. I mean, hasn't he scored 50 outside of the bubble?
His playoff career high was 34 before this year.
Was 34?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty legit.
That's more than I've scored in a playoff game.
Yeah, I'm just saying, this is different. I mean, am I crazy to think this is different, though?
No,
I do think
you're not crazy.
I think the hard part, Andrew, is comparing, in some sense, and I know you're not really doing this, but comparing Tyler Hero's performance to Jamal Murray's is unfair. Like I said, I know you're not doing that specifically, but I do think
You do hate Jamal Murray for some reason.
We've watched Jamal Murray play against the Thunder, and one of my most frustrating moments was watching him take it like angrily out on the Thunder whenever Russell was the point guard. Jamal Murray would just scorch the Thunder. Like, he has the ability to score in incredible ways. I
mean, like, here's his shooting from last year's playoffs to this year's playoffs. 42% from the field last year in the playoffs. 51% in the bubble. 33% from three last season in the regular playoffs. 46% on 7 attempts from three in the bubble. He shot
that's slightly a bump.
133 threes. So a large sample, 46%.
Wow.
I mean he's been
huge.
Go ahead.
It's
huge.
He did make a layup last night that may be the most impressive layup that I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was insane. I'm not saying this in front of a crowd. I just wonder, because the jump is big. The question is, did he make the leap, or did the bubble propel him?
And you really won't be able to evaluate that until it returns to normal, which is probably June of 2021, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you that.
In February, nobody thought he was an all-star. He wasn't on the snubs list. He wasn't on anything.
I would say in February, though, no one thought the Heat would be this good, though, either.
Exactly. This is why I'm questioning the bubble. This is why I'm questioning some of these outcomes, or some of what's causing some of these outcomes.
Yeah, it's a great word. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I think that everybody probably understands that in some way. So, Andrew, let me ask you that question. So, looking at tonight's game 5 between Boston and Miami, you think Miami wraps it up?
Man, I don't know. I've been so bad at predicting the series in general. I still kind of think the Celtics are the more talented team. And so,
yeah, and it definitely feels that way, but Miami just finishes, man.
I know. I think the Celtics will win, but that means that probably the Heat will wrap it up.
So here's the only thing I'll say, and we'll close out this bubble conversation. It's hard for me to evaluate that some people took a bump up, and then to say why didn't that become a reality for everybody
across the board, right?
In some sense, they're all playing on the same goal, having the same routines. Some people elevated their game, and some people it just kind of faded out to nothingness. So you're looking at the youngness is going to be the primary thing that changes that. Is that kind of your best? If you're going to just extrapolate some sort of theory out of this, you would say it's the younger guys or guys that are just getting started in it are the ones that got the bump from the bubble.
I think it's just different personalities, Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not equitable across the board.
It's hard to say that it's the particular age. Something.
Yeah.
I kind of have a disagreement in that, there was a time 2 weeks ago when they were talking about shutting down the bubble, shutting it all down. And we were talking about this season isn't going to have an asterisk by it because it's a different kind of pressure that they're under, and different types of people are excelling in it. And I think saying that, that's not going to translate, I don't 100% agree with that, because I think that it shows that in really tough situations, certain players are thriving, and it's not like an easy situation. And so I think that some of these guys that are stepping up, I do think it will translate. And there's no way to know. But I think 2 weeks ago we were saying how tough this and mentally this was on the players, and so I think that there's more to it than we're given credit for today.
Yep, I agree.
It's funny is I always forget that the comments are here, and so I just start reading through them, and they are funny.
Where's the comment?
You should gotta click on comments.
Oh wow!
All right.
You're inside that arena. It's quiet. There's not a lot going on in there. You're playing in an empty gym. It's just a different. The pressure.
Yeah, and it's
is totally different. Like there's like this external pressure of like, oh, I can't be with my family, or we've been in this same place for forever. And like some players thrive in that and some players don't. Clearly the Clippers did not. Clearly the Bucks did not. Clearly the Sixers did not thrive in being that same environment all the time. The Heat very much do. Like that's like a known thing. Like the Heat very much thrive in this. I would say that the Nuggets have done very well in this. I say the Lakers obviously have done well in this like same routine environment, but the pressures are different. Like the feel is very different. I've talked to lots of people that are in the arena, and it's just
hard. We don't perceive it though watching it.
No, you can't.
Like they've done a great job of making it feel like it's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't. But I do think the pressure is different, and so, but we just don't know how that translates. I mean, to say that Paul George didn't do well inside the bubble, well, he never does well in the playoffs, and so it's just. I think it's just a little short-sighted to say, oh, this player is doing well, but that's not going to translate. I mean, to do that in the playoffs shows that there's, they are playing at a, heightened schedule. And I think that for these people to be able, the certain players to be able to step up and do really well under that shows a lot about that player. And, other stuff about the ones that aren't able to do.
I think that's valid. And I do think it's one of the things that also, like, there will not be, like, there'll be an asterisk in our minds in some sense, but it doesn't detract from the value of this championship. Like, I don't think anybody's going to say that. Like, these guys have had to endure very different things to get there, but nonetheless, like, it's still they're going to win the championship. It doesn't matter. They're going to hoist the trophy. Mm-hmm. They're going to get a banner. They're going to, at some point, get some form of a parade. Like, that's all going to happen. It doesn't matter how these guys did or didn't show up. And so I think that's an important thing to kind of remember. All right, guys, I do want to bring up Billy Donovan signed with the Chicago Bulls, 4 years, $24 million. What you thinking?
That's a lot of money.
It is.
It's a lot of dough, man. What I could do for the world with that dough. Guys, give me some dough, man. I will use it for good only.
So 4 years, 2 years longer than the Thunder offered Billy. Mm-hmm. And my assumption is $6 million is probably $1 million or so more than the Thunder would have offered for those 2 years.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I mean, I don't know that for sure. They may have offered, they may have offered 2 years.
You gotta know that, man.
They may have offered 2 years, 12. I mean, that could be the case. But the 2 year deal is like a kind of a fake offer, in my opinion. I don't think that. I mean, it was just like, hey, we did want him, but we also couldn't clearly state to him what we were going to do or what he wanted to do, and they just couldn't align. So, I mean, like the 2 year deal is. I think it did happen, but I don't think that either party had any idea that it was actually going to take place.
So you just think it was an offer that is not offensive, that makes it look like, well, we at least tried, but we were not serious. We didn't really want him to say yes.
Yeah, well,
what you're saying.
Well, the Thunder did want him to say yes. They did want him to come back, but I don't think that they could align, I guess.
Yeah. But they knew that. The Thunder knew they couldn't align. Or had an idea.
I think they wanted to align. But I think Billy didn't want to be a part of a tank. Is what it all comes down to. Billy doesn't
I got
that record on him. Which is understandable. And so
I got you. No one wants to tanking is hard, and most coaches don't survive through a tank.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that when they get done tanking, they bring in the coach that they want to not tank because the tanking coach has the stink on them.
Yep. You can't get the stank on you.
Because once you get, it's hard to get the stank off.
I have
got the stink on him from the playoffs, right? Like
who?
Billy. Like fans already weren't very happy with him. And then like you go into next season, let's say they do trade Chris, they do trade Dennis, they do let Gallo walk, and then they're not good. And then people are like, well, see, I told you Billy was not a good coach. It's like, okay. Like,
yeah, our fans are a little weird though. We turn on coaches really strangely and things that like I don't think taking the Rockets to 7 games in the playoffs is the right thing to turn on him. If people did, I didn't necessarily hear that people had turned on him.
well, Alex and I were talking about this Wednesday. Like every fan base turns on their coach. Like right now, Celtics fans want Brad Stevens fired.
Yeah.
Oh, please. Okay.
Rockets fans wanted a new coach. Like that's just the way that NBA fans are. Like if you don't know how your team is losing, or if you don't want your team to lose, but you don't know exactly how to explain it, or you don't want to blame your star player,
That's the one.
coach.
That's true. That
If
is
you don't
true.
want to blame Russell and Harden, then it's D'Antoni, the coach that's gotten the most out of your team in how many years? 20? 20 years since Hakeem, probably?
Mm-hmm.
That's great, man. Yeah, fire that guy. Let's
Winning
be super disrespectful to that guy.
Yeah, winning as coach in franchise history for the Rockets.
Great.
Isn't that
That's
wild?
good. Yeah, man. They've got a good owner. I just think, like, how do you blame the coach and you're not pissed at the owner? Because he's going to, every time he seems so reactionary.
Oh, yeah.
Fertitta, Frittata, you know?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
It's the worst owner. That's the worst kind of owner you can have in the NBA. A reactionary one that thinks he's a brilliant mind.
Oh, yeah. It's
But really, he's in the mafia.
it's
You talking
glorious.
about James Dolan? Who are we talking about?
We're talking about Fertitta, the mob boss.
Yeah, there's somebody asked, and I didn't add it to it. I didn't add the question, but somebody did ask the Twitter question to rank all of Tillman's restaurants,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't been to any of them.
You haven't been to
You
any?
haven't eaten Bubba Gump?
Nope, never been to Bubba Gump, never been to Saltgrass, never been to
Dude, Saltgrass is pretty good. It's good.
Salt. So number one,
Yeah, it's solid. Yeah. I enjoy it.
it's just isn't it just kind of a generic steakhouse?
Yeah.
Generic steakhouse.
You throw peanuts on the floor?
No, there's no peanuts on the floor there.
Then Jay ain't going.
This is a classy
If
joint.
I don't have to walk over crunchy peanut shells,
Yeah.
I don't really want to eat a steak from there.
If I can't throw the food on the floor acceptably,
So sometimes I'll go to the ranch and I just bring a bag of peanuts in my hand. And just crunch them up and
Yeah,
just
is
spread
it-
them on the floor like Hansel and Gretel on the way to my table.
But isn't the only place where you can throw the peanuts on the floor Texas Roadhouse?
No, there's Longhorn. I think you can do it too.
Oh, really?
Really,
So
any
done.
restaurant you can do it. It's just whether or not
You
you'll be
know-
able to stay is the.
They'll let you.
True.
Technically, they'll still want your business. But they
Golden
don't
Corral, I
like
bet
it.
you could get away with it.
Oh, absolutely. Golden Corral is you can throw peanuts. You can throw really anything on the floor there.
On their carpet.
Golden Corral,
carpet.
the Golden Corral business model now makes no sense moving forward.
It's very sad because I'm a big GCB and G fan.
I will tell
Yeah.
you this though, it doesn't matter. Like, so let me say this in a way that is not offensive. How do I do that? I'm
You're gonna
assuming
say the type of Walmart people that go to GCB and G don't care.
what I'm trying to say is there's a high chance that people are just the people that used to go to Golden Corral all the time, still going to Golden Corral all the time.
You know, on
At least here in
Sundays, they have
Oklahoma,
crab
like
legs.
they didn't pull back on their they're not wearing a bunch of masks is what I'm trying to say. They're just hitting up Golden Corral every day for lunch.
No
And,
time for mass.
No.
You got there's a lot of food to eat.
Guys, it's
Yeah.
time for Tayshawn's game.
It's not a game, and the working title
Segment.
right now is Tayshawn's NBA factoid fantasy mystery.
Ooh, that's catchy.
Tayshawn's factoid victory, victory.
Fickery dickory.
That's the
What?
drop. That's the drop.
That was the drop.
That
Fickery
was the
dickory.
drop.
Factoid what? I didn't hear it.
Factoid victory, dickory.
Factoid fickery dickory. Okay, so This has been kind of a popular story, but it's still funny and weird. And there's some details to this story of Jimmy Butler charging $20 per cup of coffee from his room, because I guess it's really hard to find coffee in these hotels, which sounds absurd to me. That can't be right. But anyway, Jimmy Butler has a French press and is doing all sorts of lattes and stuff. And every cup of coffee is $20 and it's cash. Now, Bam Adebayo wanted to be a co-owner, and Jimmy Butler would not let him be a co-owner with him. I don't know why. It tells me more about. I don't know if this tells me more about Jimmy Butler or Bam, but this
Absolutely,
is
Jimmy. Jimmy's crazy.
Yeah, Jimmy's insane. I mean, I don't think he's sleeping because he's too busy selling coffee.
He's too hopped up on the beans.
Dude, you know what they say, if you work in a Starbucks, you absorb all the caffeine through your skin. And that's Jimmy Butler's hotel room.
Do they say that? Do they really say that?
Real. It's 100% real. You absorb, if you work in a coffee place, you're absorbing caffeine through your skin. And so you're absorbing about a cup or two of coffee over a shift from the air.
How about
Dude,
that?
Isn't that weird?
Pretty cool. I didn't know that.
So, guys, my thing is, like Jimmy Butler's side hustle, what would be your side hustle right now? So the job you have right now, and then you have to have a side hustle that's legitimate.
Is it in the bubble? Are we in the bubble? Or are we in our normal lives?
You're in your life. You're in your life right now. And then also, who would you not allow to be a co-owner with you? Let's start with Jay.
So I thought long and hard about this one, Taylor. And my side hustle would have to be something related to food. And I don't really have anybody I wouldn't do it with. Probably the L-Man, honestly. Not in a mean way.
I'm a good cook?
No, I just don't know if you would, get up on time
I'm
and
the best
turn
cook
the light
out of all
on.
of you. People eat throughout the day.
Jay, would you have like some kind of breakfast food truck or something?
Man, I do love breakfast food. So here's the deal. Let me just tell you why I came to this conclusion. Is I bought myself a griddle early on this summer. Griddle, flat, stainless steel, or not steel, cast iron, or whatever it is. And we make some incredible breakfast burritos, and you can do pancakes on it. You can do there's endless options of food to make on this thing. And so it's made one of those things. I worked in the restaurant world for like 12 years for more front of the house stuff, but I've always had this like love of the industry. And so I probably wouldn't get into the restaurant world at this exact moment, but if I did have a side hustle, I couldn't think of anything else that I'd rather do than that.
I think a food truck is working right now. Like that's kind of the best kind of restaurant you could have, right?
Yeah, low overhead, mobility.
Outside, don't have to worry about mass or anything. Like, Jay, I have a suggestion for you actually, because part of this segment too is me actually giving advice. And so my advice to you is I think you should do a breakfast burrito food truck side hustle business. Because, I mean, would you guys go to and it's called Brekkie Boys. Okay, I'll just give you my whole idea. 10%. It's called Brekkie Boys, breakfast burritos. And you could do like different ones. You could do even egg roll burritos. Listen, we can get into it more after. It sounds confusing.
I think either a burrito is already an egg roll, or an egg roll is a type of burrito. Yeah, I think an egg roll is a type of burrito.
No. Okay, so do you go to a freaking Chinese place and you're like, can I get your fried burrito? Your fried
I bet if you said that, they'd know what you were talking about. They would think you're stupid, but they would get you an egg roll.
Yeah. Tiny chimichanga.
No.
Ooh, hold up. We may have just uncovered
I think
some really big reality of the connection between Chinese food and burritos. A chimichanga is a burrito that's deep fried. Let's just be real. Let's just have that conversation.
Well, that's all it is. That's literally what it is.
And an egg roll is just different stuff. It's a chimichanga.
But instead, it's got like a little bit of pork and cabbage.
Yeah. It's a cabbage chimichanga.
Yeah. I mean, this is a debate for another time, but this could go on 24, 48 hours. But Andrew, let's move on to you.
I'm going to start a cabbage chimichanga business.
Yeah.
No, actually, this is something I've had an idea for a long time. My mother-in-law makes cinnamon rolls that are just probably the best.
Mm.
I think I've had them. Have I had them? I think y'all brought us some of those at some point. Man, the Schlecks are good people, man.
So good. And so I've always wanted to have a cinnamon roll store shop. It's not a restaurant. You don't call a cinnamon roll place a restaurant, do you?
You could call it a bakery. It could just be a very specific bakery.
Well, it could be if you did cinnamon rolls that had like variations on it, kind of like Waffle Champion. You could have cinnamon roll
winner.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I want to call it Cenosaurus.
Oh yeah, that's good.
I want to have like giant, like in the parking lot, giant dinosaurs, like life-size dinosaurs. So not only we're gonna have the life-size dinosaurs that draw in like the families and kids, be like, oh, we want to take pictures with these and like all over Instagram. But then you go in, you eat the cinnamon roll, and it's like, this is the best cinnamon roll I've ever had in my whole life. And so we're just drawing them in. Cenosaurus. We name every cinnamon roll after a different dinosaur. This
different variations of cinnamon rolls too, right?
Yeah.
Like
some
of them have different toppings.
You could do orange rolls.
Ooh, yeah, man. Some with caramel.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I'm letting you know that I would frequent that place.
Yeah. So Cenosaurus is my side hustle. And I don't know, like probably just wouldn't let the Thunder losers, come work with me, like the Singlers and the Pattersons and
any known loser not invited to work.
Josh Eustace, like you.
Hey, I would let Josh Eustace work with me in a
For
second.
some reason, we let Josh Eustace slide as a Thunder loser. I don't know why. I do it too.
Because he's such a good dude.
He's a good dude.
And because you guys were like so pro Josh Eustace for so many years.
I know.
I mean, the whole time it was like, we just need him to unlock his potential.
No, we never said that about Singler. We never said that about Patterson or guys like that. Whatever reason,
Guys,
they got the slide.
You know what I'm thinking, though, is that your guys' side hustles really just sound like full-time jobs. Hard to run a restaurant as a side hustle.
No. Andrew, like both of their things could be, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m.
I also wonder if Jimmy Butler is spending as much time making coffee as he is playing basketball, probably.
It's a great question. No.
One is definitely I don't know. Here's mine. Mine are things that I could do in addition to my normal job. I have two. One is just be a Twitch streamer. Have people pay money to watch you play video games. I like to play video games. Like all last weekend, you could have seen me screaming and cursing at an Italian plumber.
Ooh.
And his very different. His name is Mario, and that's what I was doing all last weekend. And then my second side hustle, which I cannot do, but I've always thought if I could, I would be good at it. I would excel at it, and it would flow naturally from my job. I am a divorce attorney, and my side hustle is matchmaker.
You keep profiles on all your clients.
Matchmaker. At the end,
Okay.
I guide someone through a divorce process, and I say, "Hey, I have the perfect person for you."
You go in the bathroom, change clothes real quick.
It's never me. That is Taylor.
Oh, it's not you?
No, I'm matchmaking clients with other clients.
No. I'm saying you divorce them.
Oh,
you
but
run
I
to
come
the
out
bathroom,
dressed
change
as
clothes to your side hustle clothes.
But the dress is the same for the both. That's why it's a perfect side hustle. It's a suit. I'm wearing a suit at work, and then I'm the side hustle in a suit.
Listen, man.
But I feel like Matchmaker needs like something pink, maybe a little bit like sequins and stuff, maybe some hearts on the jacket.
I'll just put on sunglasses.
Yeah, that's it. That's what all you need.
Yeah. Sounds like the perfect destroy your practice.
But
No,
isn't this
that's why-
completely unethical?
That's why I said at the beginning I could not do it for ethical reasons, and I would not, but I would be good at it.
Listen, guys. One of the
Hey, Luke, you're
big
live
key-
on like the internet, right?
That's why I started and said I couldn't do it.
No, I'm saying in the sense of like you're shirtless running around in the dark in your house.
Your undernuggets are showing.
I give the people what they want.
Listen, Jay, we need to leave Luke alone. This is a really good idea because one of the problems with divorce attorney business is you don't have a lot of returning clients. Maybe you do, but what Luke is doing is increasing his chances of returning clients because if you divorce them, set them up. Now, this can be up to Luke if he actually wants to set them up legitimately or manipulate to have more divorces.
Wow, didn't even think about that, Taylor.
Yeah.
Guess who I'm not? Guess who I'm keeping out of my side hustle? Andrew J. Guess who I'm bringing into my side hustle? The T-Dick.
Hey, can I just say
glad.
for today's podcast, the live stream here is that Hoops Talk 69. I just want you to know that you are winning the comments in every single way. Number one is he just said that Andrew's dressed like the Hamburglar today.
Yeah.
And I got a good chuckle out of that one. And there's a few other ones. So if you are in there, you can always post and we will try to read them as we get there.
That's true.
I think it's time for some. All right, first Twitter questions from @BenElephantKing. He asked this: does growing noise about trades with certain teams mean they're more or less likely to happen? Still hearing rumors of CP3 to the Knicks. Makes total sense, but feels like Presti doesn't go for the obvious. He certainly doesn't broadcast it. The more I hear, the less I start to believe. Is there any validity to that? Like when there's smoke, is there fire kind of thing? Is that
I agree with Benevolent King. Once someone has brought up, Presti never does the things people have talked about. Once it's been brought up, it's like, the thing like, oh, it's probably going to be this. That's not what he's doing. He's always zigging when people are zagging.
So what's the most recent trade that you remember that was leaked before, or even interest that was leaked before Sam made it? Can you remember one?
Melo.
Yeah.
Melo talked about way in advance.
Yeah, I talked about it like 2 years before it happened.
Right. But the week leading up to it, it was like, Bill Simmons literally said on his podcast, the Thunder and Carmelo Anthony are circling one another.
Yeah, circling one another. But the Paul George trade, both getting him and sending him out, you had no idea until it broke.
Right. And also, like, another reason, the Paul George trade for the Thunder didn't make sense originally. Like, if you would have proposed that trade on the internet, everybody would have said, you're an idiot. Like, there's no way the Pacers would do that. And so, like, some of it is that Presti does these trades that, and we discussed a Dennis Schroeder for Carmelo Anthony trade. Like, we discussed it on the podcast. But, like, a part of it is, like, he's such a good negotiator that, like the Cameron Payne trade. Like, I don't think that you could have put that out there and said, like, this is a trade that could happen. Everybody,
right?
Like,
we're going to trade players that don't play for two guys that are going to be role players immediately.
Exactly. So some of it is that just like Presti does better than what like the conventional NBA trade machine person does. And so that's a part of it. Even the Paul George trade to the Clippers, I think if you were to say, like, let's put Paul George on the table to the Clippers, what's it going to be? There's just no way I would have said that much.
Every draft pick and two players that can play immediately.
Yeah. I just don't think that you would. So to me, some of it is that able to negotiate and leverage more than what we think. But
I think the hard thing, just kind of speaking to Jesse's question a little bit, is there's two sides to the conversation. Just because it doesn't leak from Sam and the Oklahoma City Thunder, like there's a lot of organizations that are very leaky, and the Knicks, I'm assuming, are one of them. But the other thing is they're also constantly manipulating. They're constantly manipulating the media in order to try to get a higher position in the bargaining.
Yeah.
So
I think in that, saying that the Carmelo trade leaked, I think that I'd say that would probably come from Carmelo's team, because he had to be involved in the trade because he had to approve of whatever it was. And I think that getting out was from his side. It definitely wasn't from the Thunder side.
The Thunder won't tell anybody anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
yeah, and if they do, you're not telling anybody.
Right.
Because they'll never be, it just won't. the Thunder aren't going to leak trades or potential trades. I mean, that's certainly a known thing. But just because you hear it doesn't mean that it's couldn't happen, I guess.
But it's probably not gonna.
Next Twitter question from @Ben_Alpers. If the next season doesn't start until January of 2021, is it likely to be shortened, or is the NBA essentially rotating its calendar to fall later in the year? Like at some point in 2022, 23, that it'll return to normal. But I expect the NBA to get back to their regular schedule by then. Am I wrong in anticipating that? Do you have any feelers on what this is going to look like, Andrew?
Yeah, I would assume that they will rotate the calendar. I think
Permanently or just temporarily?
Yeah, permanently.
So the season won't start till basically Christmas from here on out, which is they've been talking about that before this even took place.
Yeah, I mean,
so it'll go Christmas to July 4th or something like that, and then off season will start mid-July.
I mean, the NBA has been ducking the NFL during the playoffs.
Right.
Why wouldn't you want to duck the NFL just period? Right? It's still the most popular league. It's still the driving force of everything. Like the NFL is still that. And so if you could completely duck that and then only baseball, sweet. I think that you have to think that way.
Yeah. And so they're kind of using this shutdown, something that's forced on them, uncontrollable, to reset the way that they're doing things, which is pretty brilliant. Yeah. I'm excited about the fact that there will be year-long sports that I enjoy. Like we will have less and less of that kind of sports desert late in the summer, where we're like, oh, the Olympics are here. They're great. I can't wait to watch them.
Right. July.
Tired of that charade.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This one's from @PanickedWaddle. Do you think Gallo will just sign with another team, or do you think he'll do a sign and trade to get on a contender with no cap space? Taylor, what's your best guess? What are they going to do with Gallo? Is Gallo going to sign somewhere just outright, or is he going to do work for a sign and trade with the Thunder?
Oh, man. Well, my ears to the ground, and let me tell you what I've been hearing.
What's your guess?
Dude, they're doing a sign and trade, man. And we're getting back. Oh, man, are we getting back some terrible players with big contracts, but we're going to get a pick.
So here's my thing with Gallo. Gallo's making I mean, what is his next contract going to be? 20? 20 for
probably,
3 years?
What is it? Right. I mean, it'll probably be around
24,
what it's at
25.
right now. Maybe a little bit less.
Yeah, and it's really hard to gauge because the finances of the league could look very different. So it's hard to know what that's going to look like. But
that's true. But if you're going to pay him in the same, like he'll get paid in the same contract level that he has right now, I think.
So I guess the question is if you were going to your last contract, would you want to go for a guy like Gallo? Do you want to go play for money, or are you going to go try to be on a team that's going to get you somewhere? And that's the whole. I don't know if you can. Not if you can't. Nobody that is going to be competing can give you $20 million as a free agent. That would have to be a sign and trade.
Yeah, that's why a sign and trade is likely, I think.
And what do you get in return for a sign and trade for Gallo?
Terrible players with big contracts and a pick.
Like a second? Like you're not going to get a first for Gallo in a sign and trade where they're kind of both mutually wanting to do this, right?
You can't do it without both sides saying yes. So I mean, I would get I think you get a first.
Late first?
It just depends on who the team is, I mean, you can request a future pick. And you're not, I mean, if you request a pick in 2023, like you don't know if it's early or late. You don't have any idea,
Andrew, it's Andrew Future Pick Schlecht. That's your new nickname.
That's why you kick the can down the road, man. I mean, if you can request the 2020, you can request a pick this year or request like whoever they drafted this year, but then you know who it is. You're locked in. This is one to a late first round pick. Yes. Or you kick the can down the road to 2024. And you have
protect it to top 15 and then see what you get.
It could be anything.
And it's hard because I think this is why I would be a terrible GM is I have zero patience. And so what happens is for me is I'm like, yeah, give me give me 15 draft picks in this one. I'll take them right now. You know, it's like, no, you don't actually want that. Like future picks have more value than picks probably in this draft if they're in the 20s.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because of the unknown.
Your job as a GM is to keep your job as long as you can.
Right.
That's how this is, man. You need to set up to have you need 6, 2 first round picks 6 years in a row, and then start building. And then after you've already done it one time, and now look, this 5-year project has turned into a 25-year career for you. Congratulations.
So let me ask this question, and this is from @_CL12_, in kind of piggybacking on the Gallo question. What would be a normal expected haul for a Dennis Schroeder move this offseason? Or even by the trade deadline?
Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, he's been worth a first. The way that he's competed on both ends, the way that he's a part of one of the best lineups in the NBA, the best lineup in the NBA in the regular season. So, and he was willing to accept a role. Like he was a good teammate. He's got all that. He's a runner-up for 6th man of the year. He's kind of formed a resume with the Thunder. And so to me, that's worth a first-round pick. And some people may disagree with that, but his contract isn't long. He's got, I don't know. To me, I don't know if you want him to be your primary point guard, but if you've got other distributors on your team, and I think that he's proven that he can fit in. And so to me, I
really like that Lakers. Somebody posted it, but him landing on the Lakers would be really good for both sides.
He'd be great. I mean, there's space for him to move around. You got multiple distributors on the floor. You've got Anthony Davis setting a pick and then can either roll to the basket or pop out. You have LeBron. I mean, it's just, yeah.
It's a baby.
There's a baby on the pod.
There's a baby. But, hey, so let me ask this question. I know the money is not directly, it wouldn't work straight up. And I know there's lots of layers to why the Thunder don't want this. But would you rather have Patrick Beverley or Dennis Schroeder on the Clippers?
I'd rather have Schroeder. He's just a better player.
I'm just trying to think of the amount of teams that would immediately improve with Schroeder on their team.
Yeah. I think they would. Yeah. Beverly's a nice player, and Schroeder was a good defender this year too. I think his reputation from past years still sticks with him a little bit, but I don't think he's that far off from Beverly the way that he defended this year.
I don't think there's a team that you'd put him on that he would not improve.
Right. Yeah. I think I'm just saying Schroeder could go to the Clippers and start immediately. Wouldn't he be the starting point guard at that point?
Yeah, he would.
And even maybe in LA is what the Clippers, even in the Lakers, I think he could potentially do that too. They use a lot of funky lineups, but
that's just out of necessity. They just don't have very many good players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a little top heavy.
They play Markieff Morris. Markieff Morris hasn't been good.
He found out though last night, so he's got that going for him.
He's terrible, man. He was so bad for them. He played 17 minutes last night.
Yeah, it doesn't make any
good
sense.
In 4 years.
Yeah. He did have a pretty good series against the Rockets though, which is hilarious.
The
best he's ever looked.
Yeah, he had one good game where just his shots were falling.
No, he was pretty good in this series though. He really was, I promise. He had multiple games. And that's just the Rockets. Listen, don't devalue how good the Rockets can make terrible players on opposing teams, okay?
Taylor, I'll go back and look at the film and let you know how I thought Markieff
Please
played.
go back and look at this so we
week,
can
man.
actually discuss
Deep
this.
dive into Markieff Morris' series against the Rockets coming at you for next Fry Pod. Next, Twitter questions from @Thunder_Dad. Is Chris Paul, this is Taylor's burner account, by the way, is Chris Paul to the Bulls something you can see happening?
I don't think so. I think that they got along, Billy and Chris, but I don't know why everyone keeps thinking that they're They're like Dwayne Wade, LeBron, and Chris Bosh making plans behind the scenes to like hook up in a different city. Like, I don't think that's really happening. And like, does Chris Paul? I mean, he'll make the Bulls better, of course he will. But why? What is that? What is Chris Paul on the Bulls? What is that?
I mean, the hard part is Chris. Chris doesn't get. Chris has a giant contract, and that limits. I mean, that just limits what he can do. Like, he can have influence, hopefully, and the Thunder are going to work with him as much as they can. But he's going to go where there's contracts and a willingness to receive him. Like, I know he'd love to go play for the Clippers or the Lakers. That's not happening. Like,
dude,
maybe the Bucks.
Imagine?
The Bucks are the best shot that he would have to immediately be on a contender.
Yeah.
And if I was him and I was his representatives, like, I would be working every day to try to make something like that happen. I don't know where else he can land that can give away enough contracts that don't immediately floor the team that you had, because Bledsoe, Ilyasova, Robin Lopez, even Dante DiVincenzo, like, whatever that looks like for the Bucks. Like, and I know there's rumors that they don't have any interest, which could also be one of those things that they're just throwing out there to try to drive the conversation. But like, that's the only team I think that he's going to immediately go and be a contender. You go to Chicago, you go to New York, like, you'll probably make the playoffs, but you're going to be the 7th seed, the 6th seed, the 8th seed. And if he wants to be, I mean, if he just wants to be relevant, then sure, that's fine. But it doesn't feel like that's what Chris Paul wants. But he doesn't always get what he wants when his contract is this giant. And because the Thunder have the high ground in that. So
what about the Heat, though? What if Giannis signs the extension and the Heat trade for him?
I mean, you'd have to figure out what. So at that point, you just have a whole bunch of big contract. Like, Iguodala is going to come back to you. Probably Olynyk.
They've got a ton coming off the books.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It kind of works against that. I wonder
does the
if the
Heat
Heat go into
trade?
the final.
Huh?
Who does the Heat trade?
Who do they trade? I mean, like, Dragic is a free agent. Solomon Hill is a free agent. Myers Leonard is a free agent. Jay Crowder is a free agent. I mean, that right there is a ton of money.
Yeah.
But then also Jimmy Butler and Chris Paul, it sounds like those are two big personalities that you don't necessarily know fit together that well.
Why did the Bucks do that though? Why would the Bucks do it to just get money so they can get it off their books the next year? I mean, you need a real asset back, not a books asset. If you're trading Giannis, if Giannis is forcing a trade, I understand you want to trade him.
I'm talking about Chris Paul to the Heat.
I was like so confused. I was like, what? Why?
Yeah, no. I'm talking about Chris Paul.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. So
that
for
was Tayshawn's factoid Figgery Dickory.
so here's the thing.
You got baby on the brain over there, Taylor.
So Andrew, I want to just ask kind of how this works. So the Heat will only have $82 million in guaranteed contracts for next season.
Yeah.
What do you? How would they add? So you sign those guys and then trade them? So a sign and trade basically for Chris Paul?
You'd have to trade contract. Like, Andre Iguodala have to be a part of the trade. We don't know where the cap of the tax is going to be at, which is like ultimately going to determine everything. But if it's at like 100 million, right? Then you can trade on basically Andre Iguodala for Chris Paul. And then the Thunder say, just give us these picks unprotected. And then that's how you do it.
Yeah, because the Heat won't have to make money back. Like, they don't have to take exact money because there'll be enough under the salary cap.
Under the cap, then you can use that as a vehicle to make a trade.
Yeah, if you think that Jimmy Butler and Chris Paul could coexist, I think that makes a ton of sense.
They're cut from the same cloth in a lot of ways. Because like the guys that Chris Paul hasn't gotten along with, like Blake Griffin, tons of off the court interest, like not like totally psychopath focused on the court. James Harden, holy crap. Who could have guessed that they wouldn't get along? Like James Harden, like has half interest on the court.
Jimmy
And what
Butler
doesn't
has off the court stuff though. He runs his own coffee business.
That's true.
right.
Not quite the
doing all sorts of
socialite.
commercials.
He's
And
not quite the
and he
socialite.
was in the movie Office Christmas Party.
He is.
He was.
Jimmy Butler is definitely a socialite, but he's also, when the NBA is going, like a psychopath focused on winning only.
Yeah, that they are cut. You're right. I think they're cut from the same cloth.
Oh, I like the cut of their jibs.
Chris is on all these commercials. Like Chris has outside interest too. That's not
Got a
the
jib.
difference between. That's not necessarily the difference. Maybe that was the wrong way to describe Blake, but like
No,
Blake-
you're right. It's a different feel, man. It does not feel like basketball is the central priority for them when they're playing, for Blake or Harden. And for Chris Paul, it's all he wants to do. And for Jimmy Butler, it's clearly all he wants to do as well. So that I think you don't have to back. I think that's absolutely right.
I mean, if you go into next season and you're the Heat and you have Chris Paul, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and then you fill in the gaps with like minimum signings of veterans that are good.
Yeah, because they want to go play in Miami.
Yeah, you go win. You can win the title with that team.
I
They
think
could
so.
win the title with this team.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I can see Chris Paul and Jimmy Butler getting along really well, actually, now that I'm really thinking about it. And Chris Paul with Bam and Chris Paul with all these shooters around him. And they have like, it's not like they have a lot of guys that could give Chris Paul a break, and they could still be good if Chris Paul gets injured too.
Yeah,
So you're not like just depending on Paul.
Yeah, it's like Chris Paul. I mean, look what they're doing with Goran Dragic.
I know. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's a great man. That would be
And to me,
Wild.
it all hinges on, does Giannis sign the extension? If Giannis signs the extension, then like there are lots of teams that are become open to trading for Chris. I think the Mavericks open up. I think the Heat open up. But if they don't, I think both those teams are willing to say, no, we're going to sit this out because we want a shot at signing Giannis. Like we want to be able to do that. And so a lot of the league is just sitting back and waiting. And so right now the Thunder do have options for Chris, but they open up quite a bit more. Because
It's funny is there are a bunch of teams that should definitely not wait. Like, hey, Knicks, just go ahead and fill your contracts up, man, because he's not going there.
Yeah.
Like, how many times have the Knicks tried to keep their books open for a player that's never going to go play there?
Yeah. And it's a new regime. So
Same thing with Dallas, too. Like, I get it. Dallas is more appealing maybe today than they ever have been. But how many free agents did they try to save their time for, and it just didn't happen,
Yeah.
Now, I'd go play with Luka in a second, like if I was Giannis, but
Yeah.
all right, let's finish with a few fun Twitter questions. First one, this is from @Showtime is back. What's everyone's favorite superhero? Round the horn here. Andrew, favorite superhero, go.
Batman.
All right.
Batman.
Luke, who's your favorite superhero?
Mine's really tough because I get I like really obscure ones. But because it's probably gonna be an X-Men. I really like Cyclops.
All right, man.
And but the obscure ones I really like. There's a guy named Starman that I really, really, really like.
Starman, yeah.
His comic book was very good. I also like the Iron Fist.
I grew up a huge Wolverine fan, and so probably I'd still stick with Wolverine. Taylor, you got a favorite superhero?
Yeah, super baby.
All right, here's another one. This is from @TheFrozenOkie. Now that everyone has air fryers, does that end the best way to reheat leftover pizza debate?
I don't have an air fryer.
How much is it? Remind me how much the air fryer costs.
Cheaper than a laptop.
But how much are we talking? Are we talking $80? Are we talking
Yeah.
$300?
About $80 or so.
One
Like
for
like the Bravura. I
I-
see commercials for that all the time.
I'll be real with you. I've never actually
So do you
reheated
have one?
pizza in an air fryer.
Do you have one though?
I do. It's incredible. We use it
Andrew,
for
do you
everything,
have
but I
one?
have not used it to air fry pizza.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, you use it for anything.
But why? I mean, what's different from that than like why would you reheat pizza in an air fryer and not a toaster oven?
It's similar effect.
Similar thing.
Yeah.
But like you can make like better tots in an air fryer, huh?
Absolutely.
Way better. Oh, 100% better.
Is tots the deal breaker?
Pizza rolls.
It seems like a lot of people make salmon in the
Salmon?
air fryer.
You can
salmon.
In it, you can cook. So we do chicken wings in it.
Yep.
Ooh.
We do chicken wings.
Little chicky wings.
We'll do like I do boneless wings basically. Like you take like chicken tenders and you throw them in there and you got to shake it. Here's the key though. You got to get it out and you shake it every once in a while. Just get that stuff moving around. It's like restaurant quality friedness.
Really?
As far as the crunch.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
For real.
Ooh.
And half the time and less mess than the oven or whatever else.
And a quarter of the calories.
I mean, it does have less calories than dipping it in oil for sure, or grease.
That tastes good.
Tastes good. It's very good.
All right, last question. This is from @RobSpencer02.
Another Rob Spence.
He asked this question: favorite brand of peanut butter? Are you a Crunchman or a Smooth Sailor? What do you put your peanut butter on that others don't? He likes his in smoothies and in oatmeal, and of course, pancakes and waffles. All right,
Crunch.
so there's a lot of questions here. So we got some crunch. Luke's a crunch man.
Crunchy Peter Pan
Oh, crunchy Peter Pan.
is good. And you know what it goes best on? A spoon.
Celery.
A spoon directly into the mouth.
Wow.
Well, that's good. Andrew, you a crunchman or a what do you call it, a smooth sailor?
I mean, I could. It just depends on the day, honestly.
I knew that was going to be his answer.
Do you buy
Oh,
both?
man.
So you buy
He's so
both?
non-committal, man. Come on,
Both
Andrew.
of
He's an old guy.
I've got kids, so we mostly just buy smooth sailing peanut butter, right?
Yeah.
Smooth
Guy
sailor.
is a smooth sailor, so I mean, so we're mostly by, and the brand doesn't matter too much, but I'm definitely waffles, pancakes with my peanut butter every time.
It's unbelievable how good those are. Peanut butter on waffles and pancakes. If you're not doing it, go today. Get some waffles, get some pancakes, put some peanut butter on it. Change your life right now.
It's true.
Change your life.
I would do crunchy or smooth too. I don't have any preference. I love peanut butter.
Okay, let's just go to a PB&J. If you're just whipping up a PB&J.
Crunchy.
Yep,
Yeah, if I
crunchy.
could make
You
my
need the
own
texture.
PB, then yeah, I would do crunchy.
Yeah, the texture is the game changer.
You know what we do is we're trying to like kind of eat a little bit better, pay attention to what we're eating. And so we'll put peanut butter on rice cakes, and there's like caramel rice cakes and chocolate ones. And that's a really good, not super bad for you, kind of sweet thing if you're looking for that. So
Yeah.
Guys, I think I just discovered I have a Robert De Niro face.
You're gonna meet me. Hey, everyone, cover up my face, but look at Taylor. Taylor, kind of move your mouth a little bit. You're gonna meet me. You're meeting the parents. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah, you
classic
do.
line from Meet the Parents. You're gonna meet me.
You're gonna
You're
milk
meeting
me.
the parents.
You're gonna milk me.
Can you milk me, Greg?
Doing an impression from SNL, doing an impression of Meet the Parents of Robert De Niro. That's
I'm
yeah.
not sure any of it was good,
You're gonna,
It was good.
you're gonna meet me.
but you're not even making the Robert De Niro face, man.
I know Taylor does the face.
Oh,
I do the face. He does
He-
the voice. This is how this comedic duo works.
This is a great
You're
podcast.
gonna meet. You're
This
gonna
is a
meet
great
me.
time. This is a great
I'm-
time to say thank you for listening. Make sure you
I'm
check
gonna
out
meet the Joker.
theathletic.com/down the dunk. $1
that's
a
funny?
month for the athletic subscription. You want to do this, check it out. Thanks for listening to our podcast.
Oh, by the way, I haven't gotten any updated iTunes reviews, so that's why I'm not reading them today. So make sure you leave that Apple iTunes review. We're switching platforms, and so I think that has something to do with it. So they're all kind of older ones. So let me just pull one up. Let me just see what we got here. Okay, so this is from an Endura. This pod is so fun. Can we have a Mikey Berra, Deborah Buckets, Andrew Schleck special? That would be epic. Frozen Grapes is the title of this one. Home with Leah is the name of the person. She says, Dear Deborah Buckets, I've never actually listened to the podcast, but my husband loves it and takes lots of your advice. So thanks for introducing us to Del Taco, Cracklin' Oat Brand, and Frozen Grapes. This week we're all fighting over frozen grapes.
Dang. That is like the trifecta of recommendations.
Yeah.
Listen, you can't give Alex credit for talking about Del Taco. We've been talking about Del Taco for years, man.
Did I get
At
the
least
wrong
1
thing?
year.
When I went, did I get the wrong thing? What do you get?
You did it wrong. We'll talk about this off the pod. Thanks for listening.
I got the taco.